Hey everyone, it's Tom here from Tom's Corner coming at you today with a brand new video. Today, I want to talk a bit about a personal interest of mine, and that is history. And I wanted to just talk a bit about why I like history and why I find it interesting. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy. Hopefully you do. If you do, please let me know by leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to be notified when I do upload new videos and new content to the channel. Hope you enjoy that. Yay. Without any further ado, let's get into today's video, which is obviously talking about history. So the reason why I like history is because I think it's very interesting to learn about different countries, different people, and just different cultures, and like just there's so much about history you can learn about. You can learn about like like the fashion, the politics, the religion. You can learn about the political beliefs of one person. You can, like I said, learn about general just countries from hundreds or hundreds and hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands even. Or you can learn about you know modern day countries history, and like for example, an interesting one that I like to research about is the Roman Empire. And and I liked researching about it because the Roman Empire is, I think, very important to sort of society and to history as a whole. And I think that, perhaps I'm wrong, if I am, correct me, but I think that perhaps Europe and maybe even the world would be quite different if it hadn't been for the Roman Empire. Obviously, there's some discussion about, I think, like when it ended, because obviously you have the Roman Empire, then you had the East and West Roman empires, if I'm remembering. Then you had the Byzantine Empire, and yeah, I think it depends on who you ask. I think don't some people think that the end of the fall of the Byzantines was the end of the Roman Empire? Some say it was when it split in half, and some say different things, different dates and such. But yeah, I mean, like Julius Caesar, for example, he's a very interesting historical figure who I just think it's quite interesting to research about him and to research about like like his political views, his beliefs, his what his ambitions were, because obviously, spoiler alert, he got stabbed by people in the Senate because I think whether he was becoming too much like a dictator or something like that. I say something like that. That doesn't make me look like a professional historian, does it? Oh gosh, that's bad. But no, he was murdered, and I just it's interesting to think about what if he had had lived longer and governed longer. You know, would he have conquered other territories? Would Rome be bigger? Would it be a bigger territory? Empire thing. Would it? Would he have maybe focused on stability within the empire? There's just a lot of what ifs, and I think the brilliant thing about history as well is that although obviously in general, you usually learn about your country's history. You're not just limited to, oh, you can only learn about one country's history. If you wanted to, you could learn about European history, and I know these are continents, but I'm just referring to them just as a whole. European history, Asian history, Middle Eastern history, African history, North and South American history, Oceanic history. Um, you know, and I think I think there's a bit of discussion, isn't there, about if Oceania. I think, isn't there like discussion about if they're a continent or not? I'm not sure. Leave that up for maybe discussion. Um, but you can learn about their different histories and just a lot. I mean, I learned a lot about European history from my own research, and like I mean I remember learning about like obviously British history. And I think something that's important to remember as historians is is being able to say, yes, our country did these bad things, but they did these good things. They did these good things, but they also did these bad things. And I think if you can learn from the bad things that your country that that every country has done, then I think you can be, I think you could be a pretty effective historian, because obviously, it gets quite tricky when you start denying very well documented history. Like, for example, it would be quite difficult if I started saying, no, Julius Caesar never existed. No, no, he's just a myth. You know, obviously that's you know a random example, but my point being that we mustn't forget about history, and this is why I had a friend who said that history was was it really relevant? It's just boring, isn't it? It's just books and stuff. And yeah, it is a lot of books sometimes, but there's also so many different videos out there and movies and shows and things about history and alternate history and so many things. Obviously, one example that comes to mind for alternate history is obviously with regards to World War II, and that is what if the Axis powers won. I think a very popular show with that trend is or was Man in High Castle. I think is that what it's called. Obviously, you have a lot of stuff like what if the South had won the Civil War in the United States. You have so many things. What if the German Empire and the Kaiser Wilhelm II had won World War One. What if the Central Powers had won, and so much history really. And I gotta say, I find, like, obviously, look, goes without saying, history is not something everyone's going to be interested in. There's going to be some people who, oh, we've got history next for 2 hours. Fine, okay. And then they'll can't wait to be out there. But there's some people like myself who quite enjoy researching about history, and with me, like, I like diversifying my knowledge and just researching about different countries. So like what I'll do, for example, is I'll pick a random country or random historical person, and I'll research about them for a bit. And I think that's what's interesting for me, at least with regards to history, is learning about these different people and learning and these different countries. Learning how they lived, their cultures, you know their borders, and just stuff like geography. And were they powerful? Were they weak? Like, I mean, for example, one that I'm sort of getting into a bit now with research wise is the Holy Roman Empire. And I think it's quite interesting learning about the Holy Roman Empire, or the HRE. Um, yeah, it's quite interesting for me, at least, to learn about the history of the HRE, and just like I said, just countries as a whole, really, and like I say, historical figures. Wow, my brain right now, it's trying to think. I don't want to just keep saying Julius Caesar, but yeah, like Julius Caesar, and other Roman emperors. Um, you know, I'm trying to think. You know, Obviously, like the leaders of World War Two and World War One, and just different leaders really from different eras, like like Henry VIII, and just I know I'm sort of saying but like it generally, like, I'm trying to think of what to say, and I don't want to bore all of you lovely people watching this at home, but that's the thing with history. I think it's one of those things where you'll either sort of find it boring, or you'll find it quite entertaining or quite interesting. And I think that definitely in history, in my opinion at least, there's something for everyone, I think. So if you're interested in the fashion, you know, you can look at that element. If you're interested in geography, there's that element. Borders. If you like looking at maps, there's that element. There's, do you like researching about different cultures, different I don't know, food, different religions. You know, there's all of that. Or if you just want to learn about the history of a country, then there's that option as well. I mean, you know, I think, and the thing is as well, is that there's sorry, there's so many documentaries and books and stuff and other stuff out there, like resources to help you, that in theory you probably could maybe document like the entire history of your country if you research it and put in enough effort. Like, you know, you could, if you wanted to, hypothetically, you know, have a chart or a map, something that says, okay, so, you know, boom, this is when my country started. This is it now, and you know, this is all the, you know, boom, 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 boom. This is all the information in the middle, and and I just think that that's quite interesting about history as a whole. You know, the fact that we have the ability to do that. We have so much information, and that we've learned so much. And honestly, like I say, I know this is probably, you know, maybe not the most interesting video, but honestly, with me, I just love history. You know, it is a passionate interest of mine. I like, you know, spending time researching different historical eras, countries, borders, geographies, maps, people, and just learning, like, you know, how they lived, you know, how they ruled, you know, what were they like, you know, were they good rulers, were they bad rulers, were they mediocre, you know, how are they viewed, you know, now, you know, like, is there information that came out about them that we didn't know when they were ruling? So, like, for example, you know, is there information we know now about, you know, about, okay, we'll use him. He's been a prominent figure. Is there information that we know now about Julius Caesar that we didn't know back then? You know, or any leader, you know, any leader from any period, you know, is there information we know now that we didn't know then? And that's just the thing with history, you know. Yeah, obviously, you know, probably a lot of people think history, you know, they probably think maybe the Cold War, maybe World Wars. But honestly, history is so much more than that. And honestly, I'm not saying, you know, go and watch a 5-hour documentary about trees from the Roman Empire, but if you're interested, pick a random country or a random, you know, world leader, past or present, and just, you know, put in on YouTube or Google or whatever you want to do, that person or that country or that time period maybe, and just, you know, maybe watch a documentary, watch a video about them, what, you know, maybe read an article or something, you know, because I genuinely do think history is an incredible thing, and it's very fun to look at, and it's one that I truly, yeah, I would genuinely recommend it a lot. So thank you very much for watching today's video. If you've enjoyed it, I know it's been a bit sort of rambly, maybe not the most entertaining, but I wanted to talk about it. This is Tom's Corner, so yeah. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please let me know by leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to be notified when I do upload new videos and new content to the channel. I do apologize for the fact I didn't upload for a while. I'm trying to get back to consistent uploads, and I hope you'll bear with me as I do that. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Goodbye.